Good morning, students. Welcome in science class, chapter 11 Light, Shadows, and Reflection. We are starting. We see many objects around us. All objects are colorful and are of different. Take example that when you go on the way to the school, we see things like buses, cars, cycles, trees, animals, and sometimes beautiful flowers also. How do you think we see all these objects? Yes, of course. Light is needed to see the things. Light is needed to see the things. We cannot see any object in the darkness of light. So we need source of light to make the object visible. Think of the same places at the night. If it were completely dark, what will you see? Suppose if you go inside a completely dark room, are you able to see any objects in the room? No. But when you light a candle or a torch, you can see the objects present in the room, isn't it? So, without lights, things cannot be seen. Lights helps us to see the objects. During the day, sun's light allows us to see the objects, and at night we use light of a torch, electric bulb, or a tube light, which makes us to see the objects. So light enables us to see objects from which it comes. So an object which gives out light is called source of light. The various sources of light around us are sun, stars, electric bulb, tube light, kerosene, oil lamp, candle, torch, firefly means natural, that glowworm which gives out light. But the most important source of light for us is the sun. Torch bulb is an object that gives out light of its own, but the sun is the another familiar object that gives out its own light again. So the sources of light which occur in nature or emit their own lights are called luminous objects. Again, the sources of light which occur in nature are called natural sources of light or the luminous objects. For example, the sun is the best natural source of light, or the luminous object is the sun. And nearly all the natural light I'm talking about the natural light we receive on the earth, mostly it comes from the sun only. The stars also are the, and the firefly, that is the glowworm, they are also the another natural sources of light. Next, the sources of light which have been made by the man, means we are making that sources of light which is made by the man, are called the man-made sources of light or the artificial sources of light, like electric bulb, tube light, kerosene oil lamp, candle, torch. All these are the man-made. So, in other words, an object which gives out its own light is called a luminous object, and the object which does not give out its own light is called the non-luminous object or the man-made. Transparent objects. Recall our grouping objects as the opaque, transparent and the translucent, which we had studied in chapter 4. Yes, you all of you are quite aware about that, all that objects. What are the transparent objects, what are the opaque, and what are the translucent? Again, first we will see all that. Objects which allow all the light to pass through them are called transparent objects. Examples are glass, some polythene bags, air, clear water, or other transparent materials. All these are the transparent objects, and we can see clearly through the transparent materials. And moreover, it also allows all the light to pass through them, and hence they are the transparent objects. Again, the transparent objects allow all the light to pass through them because they do not absorb or reflect any light. They do not absorb or they are not reflecting back any light. So that type of the objects are called the transparent objects. Translucent objects. Objects which allow only some of the light to pass through them are called the translucent objects or the materials. Examples are ground glass, butter paper, some tissue papers, oiled paper, sheet of white cotton, muddy water, and clouds are the translucent objects. We cannot see clearly through a translucent material. So, if we can see through an object but not clearly, and it allows the light to pass through it only partially, means only somewhat light is passed through the object, then that type of the objects are known as the translucent objects. The translucent objects absorb or reflect a good part of light falling on them and allow only some of the light to pass through them. They allow only some of the light. So that type of the objects are called the translucent objects. Opaque objects or the materials. Objects which do not allow any light to pass through them are called opaque materials. You know, light cannot pass through opaque objects. Materials like cardboard, book, take your wooden door of your house, any metal sheet, brick wall you take or the brick you take or any big stone, all these are the opaque materials, and we cannot see or light cannot pass through this type of the opaque objects. So if we cannot see through an object at all and it is not allowing any light to pass through them, then it is an opaque object. Opaque objects do not allow light to pass through them because they absorb or reflect all the light falling on them. They are absorbing and they are reflecting back all the lights which are falling on them. Activity 1 given on page number 107. We are seeing, look around you and collect as many objects as you can, like eraser, plastic scale, pen, pencil, notebook, shingle sheet of a paper, tracing paper, or a piece of a cloth, and try to look at something far away through each other. Keep this object at some distance and try to look through all these objects. Figure 11.1. See, this boy is looking through all that objects. He is taking one by one all the objects and trying to see through all that objects. Is light from a far away object able to travel to your eye through any of the objects? Record your observations in a table as shown in the figure 11.1. Turn your page. Table 11.1 is given pencil, rubber ball, sheet of writing paper, and 2 columns are given. View through the object possible, means fully you can see, partially or not at all, that you have to write down. And object is from that, now you will be able to write whether they are opaque or transparent or the translucent. Yes, pencil, they don't allow light to pass. So not at all. View through the object means not at all. It is an opaque. Rubber ball, not at all opaque. And sheet of a writing paper, not sure. So you can write it translucent. So like this way, take all these objects, notebook you take, plastic scale you take, and write your observation after this discussion in your this textbook. Only 2 columns are given that you can fill it, and depending on this observation, now you will be able to write whether the objects are opaque, transparent or translucent. Next video we will see what exactly are shadows. Thank you, students.